How do you describe your sexuality to people? Do you characterize yourself by kinks, by orientation? Like if I asked, like, who are you as a sexual person, what would you say?
I've been using the word free spirit a lot because I feel like it's so broad that I don't have to explain it. But I definitely identify as bisexual. Yeah, no one's really ever asked me that in the sense where I've like started being like a submissive little slut and likes to get That never happens. Like I have to make sure that I can go from suit to slut in like 20 minutes for happy hour.
See, that tagline in itself is why you should keep this job.
Damn, let me get that shit on my phone. Suit to slut.
All right, lovers and friends, this episode is probably my most X-rated sex talk to date, which is crazy because it's probably the tamest for our guest, Weezy, from WHOREible Decisions. Weezy is a smart, funny, and bold sex educator who is about to blow up the industry. Seriously, you guys have to go follow her pages and hers and Mandi's podcast now. Which, a fun fact, I am a guest on episode 121 of WHOREible Decisions out today. Side note for any of my loves who feel intimidated by Weezy's transparency, my next sex talk guest puts the P in prude. So watch to the end for a teaser clip of that.
Because we always, in our own minds, I think, and you and I are pretty open and accepting, but there's even times where I'll watch a video and I'm like, damn, she's just drinking it? She's just drinking piss, huh?
Yeah.
But then here I am who wants to get spit on. There's someone that's doing the same to me, like, ugh.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, really, what's your limit? And like, I can't judge anyone. I ask for disgusting things during sex. I had an episode where I talked about eating a cream pie out of someone, so I feel like there's no way I can ever judge.
One of the best things that I did is that when I went to school, they made us do this course. It's called Sexual Attitude Readjustment, and it's 40 hours of basically porn, where you have to watch every type, not every type, but like a 40-hour variety of different kinds of ways people enjoy pleasure. And at the end of that, it's just very rare that someone tells me something that they do that I'm like, usually I'm like, oh, I've seen that video.
That is the best thing I've ever fucking heard. Hold on, wait, let's rewind. Did you have to do this like alone, or you had to like?
No, with people. Yeah, it's with like a class of people.
Okay, what part did you get horny to?
There was one that was food. I'm like kind of a basic bitch, to be honest with you. Like I'm unfortunate. Like it was like two women in the kitchen cooking like it was like a food fetish thing.
And that was the one that got you?
Yeah, that's when I had to go to the bathroom for. And
you know what
like,
I think?
Just excuse myself.
I think that the reason that probably was so attractive to you is because that's quote unquote feminist porn, right? It's seeming like something real. If we're attracted to women, and sometimes I think right, you're married to a man, so I don't know your sexual orientation, but I'm bisexual as well, and I find that it's very hard sometimes with women that I've slept with, like when is it gonna happen? So I think it makes sense. You're making a meal with someone, you have this sexual moment, oh my God, is it gonna happen? Is she into me? Is she touching my hand this way? Like, it's real.
I just like shit to be glazed. I just like it when it looks all nice and glazed up, so.
Because it looks like cum?
What has been like your favorite sexual experience and what characterizes it as your best?
I think my ideal situation right now, ooh, can I set the scene?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd go to a bar, and it would probably be my neighborhood bar, and I totally have a crush on this bartender, and I know she fucks with me too, but I feel like I can just never hang till 4:45. It's a New York bar, right? 4 a.m. it's done, they gotta clean up and shit. I'm not lasting that long. My ideal night would be me going on a date with someone else and her coming home with us, but definitely him making me watch, like sitting on a chair in front of them while they both talk shit to me, and then like even maybe having to come and like clean up or taste something in the middle of it, but not getting to be a part of it. That would drive me fucking crazy.
Other than non-consensual sex, what would be a bad sexual experience to you? And what has been bad?
People that don't like to talk during sex. People that don't like to give oral sex. People that I've noticed not everything goes. I think obviously we have to ask, but I'm talking about as far as a partner that you've been with a few times. I don't like when I can't feel like I can spank you, right? When you're just like not, like you're not in the mood for it. Like I like someone that's just always ready when I am, you know, that can turn it on immediately when it's time and anything goes in that moment. I don't like the idea of us needing to get ready to have a wild night.
I'm just going to get distracted by talking about a billion things. I want to go back to the very beginning. Tell me about your first sexual experience. I mean, the first time that you acknowledged yourself as a sexual person.
I like that question a lot. Can I take it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I can remember vividly around 6 or 7 having a crush on a babysitter and noticing her body. And I was very confused because I knew I liked boys as well. But I remember noticing her body and getting excited about it. And then maybe a few months later, I think I discovered my vagina in a certain way. And I felt like I was, like I didn't masturbate at that age, but I also knew like it meant something more, which is weird. And it's still weird that I can remember it. Following those early memories, I know a lot of hunching on the edge of the bed. Hunching, I've learned is a Florida word, which basically means like kind of...
Humping?
Hunching.
Is hunching and humping the same thing?
Yeah,
okay.
But I think like hunching is a southern thing. But yeah, like I'd go on the edge of the bed. My mom always made me sleep with the door open. Is that just a black house?
I mean, I slept with the door open voluntarily.
No, my mom was like,
Fear.
keep that motherfucker open.
Oh, okay.
So I would always get to the edge of the bed like I was just watching TV, but really I'd be like going up and down on it, and I would do that like every night to literally go to sleep. And as a kid, I realized that was like a tension release thing. It's crazy. Actually, I recently read an article where there's a woman who teaches primary school, so it's like ages 8 to 13. Have you heard this about the masturbation? She wants kids to learn how to masturbate. And whereas I don't know if I'd ever feel comfortable about like fully teaching a kid how, I get that it was important for me to learn that on my own. I totally was all about touching myself as a kid. Like, don't leave me home alone and go to the grocery store. I will fuck myself till you get back. I would tell my mom, like, I'd give a long list of shit to get, and then I would jerk off like in our not living room, like a movie room we had, because I could see the car coming in. So I'd be like trying to come right before she got in.
Why did you have a penis all of a sudden?
Because I said jerking off?
Well, no, you gave this motion.
Oh, I call masturbation jerking off and like do it like that all the time. I don't know
if that's your technique. So everyone does something different. Maybe you're just down there.
No. I'm always saying that. I'm always like, I gotta go jerk it.
Yeah.
I love the jerk off motion.
Yes, it's fun.
When people annoy me.
I like doing it to people.
Yes.
It's like a little Spider-Man move. Was there shame associated with that? How did you were doing it to feel good and to release tension, and it was serving you in that way, but how did you feel after?
I don't think I could process it all the way. Like, I think I stopped for a while, maybe until I turned like 11 or 12, but I don't think I knew exactly that, like.
Did you stop for a reason, or?
Yeah, I think I stopped because I realized it was making me think about sex a little too much, and I was confused at what I wanted with sex. Like, when I was 8, I had an experience with hunching, again, with my neighbor, right? Mm-hmm. This girl that I liked, and I realized we were doing it too much. Instead of playing anymore, we were doing things like that, like kind of playing house and figuring each other's bodies out, and it got weird. So I kind of just stopped, right? And once I started to have more conversations about sex with my mom, that's what made me want to learn my body more again.
Your mom sounds dope. So
my mom is super dope. She's come on our podcast and told some crazy shit. She tells a great story about how she fucked this guy with no legs, and it's a highlight. She talks about how she heard click click because the legs came off. She had no idea. So good.
So your mom never shamed you, never made you feel bad about it, and then just gave you the space to figure things out on your own, but also act as a guideline to tell you things when she felt you were ready. Yeah,
like my mom, I think the only thing that she would do when I was young that taught me about my body was she would put her hand on my breasts or like down maybe near my thighs and say, what do you do if a boy touches you here? What do you do if someone touches you here? And she would teach me how to like fight them off or tell me what to say to them. But as far as like learning about my body and teaching me about sex, that did come once I was like 5th grade or 6th grade. So what, 10 or 11? And I really appreciated it. I was embarrassed about it, but I had all the questions. And at this time we had AOL dial-up, so I already had seen some porn and watched Real Sex on HBO and all of that stuff. So I knew, so I was asking her, and she made me feel so comfortable. Mm-hmm. Like my mom, right when I was like 14, which I wasn't even having sex then, she was like, when you're ready for birth control, you tell me. We can just put you on it. We can just do it at 15 if you want. Like, she really wanted me to be safe. She really wanted to make sure I knew about everything. She bought condoms one day, and I remember my dad was laughing, like, did you meet somebody? And she's like, no, these are to show her. You know, and she wanted to show me what they look like and show me everything, which I still feel like a lot of friends, when I tell them that, they feel like my mom encouraged sex too young. I always feel like when you have the open space, you'll be the safer kid. Like, we're all gonna end up fucking.
Right.
We are.
And we should.
Yes! I love that now, just being in this industry, the more I meet sexperts, sexologists, whatever, just hearing how encouraging they are to parents about teaching and talking, like, I would have to. I really would. It just makes me feel safer about protecting my kid in a space like that. Just imagine if you're a 15-year-old girl and a boy is doing things to you you've never heard about. How you may want to say no but don't know how to say no. Consent is a big deal. My mom, that's the one thing I think she didn't really teach me about that I didn't understand. And I think we're just all, as a generation, more vocal about it now. My mom definitely told me what to do when I didn't know someone, or when, you know, they were a family friend, or if like someone was violating me. But I didn't really understand consent with people I was interested in. You know, like, let's say I go on a date to the movies and he wants to put his hand down my panties. I can remember a moment being young and thinking like, I don't want this, but I'm supposed to.
Yes.
You know, so I would definitely now, as an adult, if I ever become a parent, make sure consent is a big conversation. Which is why I love watching videos of mom teaching their kids, like, if you don't want to hug someone, if you don't want to hug me, don't. Because that teaches you that, hey, you know me and you love me, but you don't always have to get that affection from me, which is a big deal.
Well, 80% of sexual assaults happen from a known attacker. But when we think about sexual assault, it's that guy at the construction site who comes out from like the sewer.
And this carried on a lot for me, I think, into my later teenage years, like 19 or so, where maybe I would go on a date with someone and go back to their place and not really understand what would happen. Opposed to now, where I'm really communicative, even though men might not like it. I used to be the person where I love a nightcap, and to me a nightcap just means maybe another cocktail, maybe we smoke together, watch something, and then I can leave. I don't really always like going to a loud bar to hang out. I do like to be in a comfortable space, right? Especially when you have a nice home to entertain in. So if I want to invite someone over, I don't always want that to seem like the invitation for sex. And we've had a lot of debates on our podcast about this, where people are like, you're out of your mind. 10 o'clock at night after dinner, I go to some girl's house, I don't think I'm gonna fuck. I'm like,
Think what you want.
but
Yeah, you're free to do whatever the fuck you want to do in your head. You are free to have every fantasy, every expectation. That's just not the reality.
But why the expectation? And it's because, like, that's really, I think, even what women think we're supposed to do. Shit, I did in college. Like, I thought, like, okay, well, I'm here, I have to suck your dick. You know?
Well, the expectation, I think, naturally does exist. I mean, I agree with that. Like, if I go to someone's party, for example, I always expect there's going to be food. It's just my expectation. I'm going to get there and be like, it's not that kind of party. And then I have to adjust my expectations. But that's still on me because I didn't eat before I got there. But nonetheless,
kind of like me now with ordering that pizza.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Coming to someone's house, you expected food.
No, that was fucked up.
Look at this. It makes sense, right? This is a lesson in
Or,
consent.
you know, or head.
Right.
I'll take that. No, yeah, I don't know. Like, I remember a lot of moments in college where, and when I say college, I mean that college age of just meeting guys and just, I don't even know how, ending up at their place. Like, maybe they'd drive me home from the club and they would say, oh, do you want to smoke with me? Or they'd say something that wasn't sex, and I would truly believe it. And then I ended up catching a body that way.
Yeah.
There's so many.
When did you stop doing that? When did you have that adjustment where you're like, nah, no more like just because sex. No more might as well fucking.
Yeah. I'm 28. I would say 24, 25, which I think is kind of recent.
Yeah.
But genuinely, like, just being like, oh no. Like, you're even not giving a fuck to say no. I think confidence played a lot with that. Not to say that I was ever like a girl that felt ugly or not, you know, I don't know. Maybe just assuming that this would bring us closer, not really understanding, because I am so connected with sex. I feel like when I choose, even if it's a threesome with someone from Tinder, I feel like that's still going to bring me closer to that woman in that experience, or that man, or whatever. So I kind of assumed when I was younger, I think, that sex would bring us closer. So if I have that interest in you already, then sex will make it better. And then after that, 25 age, money also helped too, Because here goes a date, a dinner. And I'm like, oh damn, I gotta Uber myself home. Now I'm gonna just stay here and fuck him.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh no, I can leave. I can buy myself a steak.
Yeah. That's so scary and sad to think about, right? That for some people, that's a part of the decision making.
And I mean, I'm half serious and half joking, but like, honestly, I can remember those moments where I would meet someone and I would just be like, geez, I'm already here. Like, is it going to be too difficult to leave? Well, he did spend this. He did do this for me. So I have to do this for him, thinking that that's the way that we exchange. But now I know better.
Oh no, I mean, the biggest lesson for me is like, I think at around 28 years old, I started dating again. I would just legit tell dudes, I'm like, I'm not sucking your dick and we're not having sex. And that sounds so stupid to like announce, like the same way you would say like, oh, I'm a vegan, but like, oh, we're not fucking, I'm not gonna suck your dick. And then sure enough, the night would continue out, we'd have a great time and they'd try it, which I'm like, fair enough, you have your effort. The answer was no. But then afterwards, they'd call the next day still. Like nothing would change. And when I realized that like, this doesn't make things better or worse. It's just neutral. It's a thing that you do together.
Now, I really appreciate you saying that because I've heard a lot of men say to me, I've made comments on my podcast that I noticed I've had sex around the 4th or 5th date. That's kind of when sex happens for me, right? And I think it's because if I want to be around you that often and we're keeping that much in touch, now I probably am ready. I go on a lot of first dates, Shan. I live in New York. I'm on dating apps. Shit happens, right? Very seldom am I that interested to go on a 3rd date or a 4th date.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't happen. So once we get there, it's not like I'm counting the dates, but I'm most likely ready. Mm-hmm. I'm fucking busy. I'm assuming like a date a week, you've been seeing somebody for like a month or 2 months, like maybe now I am ready for sex, you know? But it's not like I'm trying to push and make someone wait because I think they'll respect me more. I want to be very clear with that.
Yeah.
Because I've fucked, you know, on the first night and I lived with the guy for 2 years. But I think for me, I enjoy someone's company after sex and before sex. So I like to know that I want you around. Even when meeting men now, Shan, like I can't even tell you, I'm dating a girl. We call her Scissors on my show. Maybe you've seen me post her, I think, yeah. And she's dope. And when I meet men and I'm dating now, I tell them about her and how I would love to incorporate a man in our relationship. And I realize how it makes me come off. Like, it's just like, oh, you guys just want some threesome shit? You guys are freaky, you guys are crazy. But like, no, I really want to have 2 people that I love and care about and fuck them, you know? But I realize everyone thinks it's so fucking insane. Like, I don't know, for me, threesomes have always been so sacred.
Yeah.
You know, I've never really been a guest star. I'm mainly because I'm worried about how to control that. For example, right? You and Jared are hot. Let's just say that you guys meet a girl, and of course she's gonna want to come home with the 2 of you. You both are going to basically set the tone for her.
Yes.
Opposed to if I have a guy.
You and Scissors.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh, like we know we want to fuck this guy. We know where our head's at. So I guess for myself, I'm always scared to be a guest star because I don't know what I'm going to be walking into.
Even though I'm sure you treat your guest stars very ethically, with a lot of love and respect.
I do.
And you ask them questions.
Yeah.
And so did you ever have a shitty sex life? Like a period of time in which you weren't figuring it out and you weren't happy with it and it was a negative part of your life? Because it sounds like you've had a great relationship with sex since you were 6.
That's a good question. Yeah. Oh my God. Duh. Yes. I got, what is it? Vaginismus when you,
Yes, it's painful to.
Yes. I went through that during a serious relationship. However, it was definitely directly related. There was a lot of emotional and physical abuse in that relationship. And sex was super painful with me with someone that I thought I loved. It was very confusing. I did pelvic floor therapy, where I read it now, they call it the butterfly effect in New York. So they take this wand and you know, I felt vibrations and it was supposed to loosen me up, and it worked, but I realized sex was better without him.
Yeah.
You know, I had a very hard time getting wet. I blamed myself a lot. I was just like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Yeah, I felt awful. Even masturbating, I would feel guilty because I couldn't come or let my body relax with him. So that was a really hard time for me. And I was only 20 years old doing fucking pelvic floor therapy. I mean, I was in a very serious relationship with this guy, and he would literally start sex, like just try to enter me after giving me head, and it's like my whole body would freeze. And we definitely both knew something was wrong. Or he would even say when he was inside of me it would hurt because I was tightening and clenching so much. But it would really feel like a knife. Like I can't even explain it. I Googled it like crazy, just wonder what was going on. And then I've never even said this on my podcast, but I'll tell you. So I slept with someone else, right? That was just nice to me. Literally a fucking door guy somewhere that was just always really sweet and made me feel safe. And it didn't happen with him. There was no pain. I was totally relaxed, and my body was like freed up. So I go the next day to do pelvic floor therapy, and I told the nurse that was doing it for me, I was like, I know that he's paying for it, but can you keep a secret? I was like, I don't really think I need this anymore. She was like, well, why not? I was like, because I fuck someone else.
Yeah.
And then that's how much I learned your brain really works with your pussy.
Yeah.
Like, it just really does. Like, I could not have sex with him. Like, my body would literally reject the thought of him. And a month later, we were broken up.
I'm blown away by the fact that you have been so resourceful every step of the way, whether it be through your mom or even through your own self-awareness at 8 years old of being like, I'm going to stop doing this for a while because I don't think it's where I want to focus right now.
Yeah.
And being 20 and saying, this isn't right, my body's working against me, I have to go get help. Like, does that not shock you that you do that? Because most people spend a lot of their lives thinking they're abnormal, hating themselves, coming up with a billion different reasons why there's no hope for them, and then just have shit sex lives.
I mean, well, you are sitting with someone who, you know, does some stuff similar to what you do, right? I mean, I feel like I definitely have a sex podcast for a reason.
Yeah.
I knew that these things were okay, but other people made me feel like they weren't.
But what age
Talking
did you
about
start sexpertising then? When did this become a part of like...
Oh my God, I would say even before I had sex. Like, my friends that were having sex, just telling them how to talk to each other. Like, my dad used to tell me when I was a kid, oh, you're gonna be a talk show host. You're gonna be like Jenny Jones. That's what he used to tell me. And I was like, why Jenny? Oprah.
Yeah.
She's richer. I'm black. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. My mom was always such a vocal person, I think, and just so extroverted. That's where that came from. But I loved it. I love to help friends through advice. And even if I don't know, I love figuring out shit with them. I'm like totally a problem solver, love some critical thinking shit, and especially when it comes to sex, because I feel like it's something that's super taboo. I mean, I've watched and read so much shit about sex before I should have even been doing it that I feel like it's just a part of my life.
Are you here to educate? Are you here to disrupt? Are you here to share your story? Like, when you think about why you do what you do, what comes to mind?
I want to be someone, I think, that does it all, but mainly, you know, I don't want to always be the teacher. I want to learn with you. I've been wrong so many times, right? We had an episode about HIV, I remember, where we were wrong a lot. I was like, damn, I was Googling shit. So right after, what do? We just had 2 HIV experts on. I work in a clinic. I like to learn with my listeners. I like to share my stories. I love telling embarrassing stories so that they know that shit happens, you know? Oh my God, like, are you gagging? And it's like right there when you're sucking dick, and now you just gotta like jerk them off because, like, we've all had that dumb story. And I love sharing that and being open because I feel like it makes everyone else more comfortable. My main goal is just to make people feel comfortable about their own sex lives listening to mine. And if I don't know, I'm gonna ask someone else that knows better than me. I have a friend who's a naturopathy doctor, and whenever people go a little too far with their questions, I'm like, Kimmy, let me know what's going on. What's up? Can she put in her pussy or not? But I want to make sure that I always give people that.
Can you put this in your pussy or not is an incredible like forum.
How big is that dick would be, like, I would love that to be the tagline for when you drop your pants. Like, can I put that in my pussy or not? I hope it's a nah. I'll make room though. I will make room. I will arch that back so it can get a little deeper. If it's like a little too big, I'm like, oh, shit.
Is that you lubing it up right there? We can just end on that. That's great.
That was pretty good.
And also it makes me be like,
so you keep it to yourself.
yeah.
But to yourself,
To myself and like
you're
with my
swimming in
friends.
women with their own condominiums.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I would put it.
Okay, good.